some folks think, oh, it's just my luck. Oh man, I didn't get that promotion, or oh man, I didn't get this, or this hasn't happened to me, or why am I still struggling? We create our own environments. We create our world, and a lot of us are not aware of how true that is. It is so real that we create our world.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome to the Networking with Michelle show. I'm your host, Michelle Gomez, where we discuss life strategies with a bit of entrepreneurial advice. I hope your week is starting off very well. Enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. And look, today's special guest is Phoenix Jackson. This woman is phenomenal. Absolutely love her spirit. And this is so fitting because she has an upcoming book called The Spirit of Business, Quieting Your Inner World to Manifest the Vision of Your Dreams. The Spirit of Business, Quieting Your Inner World to Manifest the Vision of Your Dreams. And we had a great conversation. I can go on and on, but I think the best story that I heard from her that I love so much is when she was taking time to figure out her life and her purpose. Her son was able to tell her what her purpose was. Her son was able to tell her what she was good at. And the way she shares her story, I just think it's great. And I just hope that you take a moment, if you haven't already, to understand what your calling, what your purpose is here in this world, that this interview, this conversation will encourage you to do so. Also, you can get the book. You can get her book, and it will serve as a better guide to help you with that process. So The Spirit of Business is a book, and then she also has the workbook. And because you're a faithful listener of the Networking with Michelle show, you can get a promo code, 10% off, if you use promo code Michelle, right? Michelle, Michelle. I will have the link and the promo code in the show notes, so be sure to check that out. Make sure you support the sister. Great spirit. I really believe you'll be inspired by this interview. We talk about business, personal stuff, of course, the purpose, the positivity and affirmations that you need to give to yourself in order for you to thrive in your personal and professional life. And it's just a great interview. And Phoenix, if you're listening, once again, thank you for being a guest. I really, really appreciate you, sister. Without further ado, Phoenix Jackson. Hey everyone, today's special guest is Phoenix Jackson. She's an award-winning business leader, corporate communication strategist, adjunct faculty, and expert in social entrepreneurship turned author and speaker. Her calling is about empowering men and women concerning their abilities to influence and impact others through entrepreneurship. You know, that's why she's on the show. Phoenix, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. I am doing great out here in these Rocky Mountains of Denver, Colorado. How are you?
I'm doing good. All right. So we got award-winning business leader, strategist,
yes,
faculty expert. What don't you do?
You know what? I can't sing. I know the answer to this easily. The one thing I know for a fact that I cannot do is that I cannot hold a note, can't hold a tune. I will break every glass in here, every window if I try to hit a Whitney. I can't hit a Whitney, can't hit a Patti LaBelle. That's something I cannot do.
All right, I'm right there with you then.
Yeah.
So you are an accomplished businesswoman. Are you, I guess, born and raised in Denver, Colorado? I feel like Denver.
No, so I'm actually a Southern girl. I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Where we say there, it's not bluffing in the bluff at all. I'm from there. My family's from there. I spent some years in Little Rock, Arkansas, which is like the sister city to Pine Bluff. Spent some of my childhood in Fort Campbell, Kentucky as a military brat. And we landed in Colorado and here in Denver. And I've been here for about 20 years and, decided to stay here, go to college, started my young adult life here, started my company here. And I've been rocking it out here in Denver ever since.
Good for you. So did you have a corporate background before you launched your business?
Not at all. So my company, the Phoenix Effect, I started it my sophomore year in college.
Impressive.
So, I grew up as, and I found out this later from my godmother before she passed away. But she told me the story about how I was 4 years old and I was an entrepreneur ever since I was 4 years old. She, expressed to me how I would go to the flea market and buy up all the tore up dolls and toys, take them home, wash them, put some new hair on them, put some new clothes on them, paint them up. And then I would resell these toys back to the vendors at the flea market. And, I was a little kid, so they would give me, $1 or whatever. And then I would take that money and go buy myself new toys. And so she expressed to me how I've always been an entrepreneur. And so in my sophomore year in college, I decided to switch my major from molecular biology, and I ended up going into business and ended up getting a business degree at the University of Denver, starting my company. And I've had that same company now for over 12 years.
Wow.
And I never was focused on getting a job or starting a career or being in corporate America at all. Corporate America came knocking at my door. And so basically for the last year, I've been working at the top news station in Colorado, helping with strategy and business development. But my wheelhouse is definitely entrepreneurship, and I'm stepping back full time into my role, into my company here pretty soon. And, working on an expansion down to Dallas, Texas, and, working on doing better to service my clients that are national.
Very impressive. So you've always had the spirit of business.
Yes. I think that, growing up, I was, always kind of why I went into college in the pre-medical field, but I was always like, oh, I'm going to become a doctor so that I can become rich and I can go and help people, And as I matured and grew up, I realized that, a lot of the major philanthropists in our country and just internationally are individuals who are business owners or entrepreneurs. And I was like, how can I embody that type of spirit, that type of fortitude to become an entrepreneur so that I can then become the philanthropist that I've always dreamed about? And so that really pushed me, along that path to get going.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because I have a corporate finance background, and I remember when I was considering the ways, how can I position myself, right? Definitely by giving to various nonprofit organizations, whatever my heart desires. It's just all the wealthy people are entrepreneurs,
Yep.
or and I'm sitting here,
it's true,
clickety clacking in the cubicle and very comfortable. And I probably left the best job I ever had, but I'm like, I'm not going to be wealthy here. I'm going to be comfortable, but I'm not going to be wealthy here. And I think my drive is I know I can make good money for myself and have a house and a nice car and update those things as time goes on. But it's I want to give. I really the whole philanthropy piece is very important to me as I continue to progress to entrepreneurship.
And a lot of my clients are individuals who are impacting change in that way. Like what you just said, that the key to your own wealth and also the key to helping individuals is through philanthropy. And all of my clients, they have to have that as a part of their business practice or their underlying focus or intention. Otherwise, I won't work with them. So that's one thing, with the company, the Phoenix Effect, it's about affecting, impacting change and influencing things. Our tagline is influence something. So you can't roll up on me at a business meeting and say, hey, I have a t-shirt line and I want my t-shirts to say who dat. Well, what is that? What is who dat t-shirt doing? That's not who are you helping? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? Is this positive imagery for our people? Is this something, are you putting certain funds into, shelters in our parts? What are you doing as an entrepreneur, as someone who's free and self-sustaining? What are you doing for others? If they don't have an answer to that, I won't work with them. So it's a real important piece of my work as an entrepreneur to ensure that I'm empowering layers of people, even if I don't directly touch them, that the things and the projects we touch are influencing people and used in the proper direction. That's extremely important to me. So important.
I love that. But have you received any pushback regarding that?
No. I mean, what are they going to do just because I say no? What are they going to say? I think that, I have built up, a public persona and a level of respect, at least here in Colorado and nationally as well. But, my direct network is here in Colorado to where people reach out to work with me. I don't chase after business. They come to me. So, okay, if you're coming to me, you know what we're capable of doing for your company, whether it's branding, brand design, web development, general marketing, public relations, or communication strategy. Whatever you have us doing for you, we're going to do it at a high level. And if you're not delivering positivity in your messaging and business, then you know that you shouldn't even come my way. I can't work with everyone. That spreads you thin, and you have to sort of put quality and even financial quality over financial quantity. You have to put your time in front of even the prospect of making more money if it means you're going to stay within integrity and work with people that are great businesses and organizations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have lost money, trust me, from doing that, but hey.
Yeah. And I get it. And I think sometimes it's not that people don't want to donate or set up a nonprofit or whatever their organization may be. But sometimes I'm in it more as a timing situation, not just saying, this person is a stingy person. But I think, especially if you're working with celebrities and established businesses, there's just a lot of, it's not like, oh, let me go get a 501c3 and we're up and running. I know there's a lot of other things that can go along with it.
Oh, yeah. And, a lot of my clients don't have any connection to 501c3s. They don't have a nonprofit. But since I'm working with them, I will funnel them into certain organizations to where they can, gain more clientele and give back to those organizations. So even if they have, I have a client who is talking about building a school in Mexico, already have, buildings and warehouses and all these things that are moving. Well, we want to expand that back into Colorado, right? And we see that there's a hole in education and junior colleges in Colorado. So what are we going to do? We're going to set the platform to actually create a school here in Colorado. Now, it's going to take time and years, but because I know how many people that's going to impact, we're going to do a step-by-step process to get that done, So it's just things like that where it's like, what is the long-term goal and how are we going to get there and who are we going to affect along the way in a good way?
All right. I want to pivot and focus on the elements of personal branding and public relations, right? Or corporate communications. Before we do, how do you define a personal brand?
I define it as your public face and how people perceive you as you relate to everyone around you, both locally and statewide. A lot of individuals' personal brand doesn't expand outside of the state or city in which they live. And the rare people that do, we consider them as celebrities. But a lot of brands, I would say your brand represents your expression. It represents your gifts and your talents and what you want to offer to the public. And I believe a personal brand is very important. Even if you're a corporate professional, your personal brand is important. And if you are, an entrepreneur, your public brand and your personal brand is extremely important because people will not cut that check if they feel, that your stuff is not professionally done or that, your reputation is not enough that they think that you will be beneficial to them. And so I believe that a personal brand is extremely important for those reasons alone. It's the bottom line in any individual nonprofit or, business organization.
So if I'm developing my personal brand, why should I focus on public relations?
You should focus on public relations because the people are the individuals that you're trying to relate to and engage with. And if they have no idea who you are, what you do, how you do it, and with whom you do it with, they don't really know who you are. And they are confused about your expression and what you're out here trying to do. And if they don't understand what you do, they won't do it with you. And so having public relations, having some type of connection with the media, having a clear vision and a clear expression, a public expression of who you are is the most important thing just for that reason alone. There are individuals out there who are doing 50 things and they're not successful at any of it because people don't have a clear vision of what they are actually trying to do and who their audience is and who they're impacting. And so public relations and having a strategic plan in place of who you're targeting and how you want to impact and affect those individuals is, I think, one of the first things that needs to be tackled when you're starting a business or when you are stepping out to be a solo entrepreneur, or what I call a solopreneur. So important.
Mm-hmm. Do you think social media has allowed solopreneurs, small business owners, to be cheap when it comes to marketing? 'Cause I feel like a lot of money. I started my business in 2013, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in that space where, and you've been in business longer than me, but it was in that space right before, I'll say, Facebook advertising, social media advertising was becoming hot, in demand. But do you think between going from traditional marketing to digital market or social media marketing, people have just gotten cheap? Like, I can just post it on social media. Why should I create $100? Why should I spend $100 on brochures? I'll just post it on social
media. You're totally correct. And you know what? Like print material hasn't become obsolete. I know some people are like, oh, it's become obsolete. It hasn't, because I know events and things that sell out because they have flyers and information that they can get out to the individuals, the baby boom generation, for instance, who are not necessarily going on social media to find business. They're going on social media to see what their daughter or their son is doing, or to dibble and dabble in everyone's business. They're there strictly to socialize, not to build business and community in that way. And so I would say that it hasn't necessarily cheapened the idea of personal branding, but it definitely has made everyone think that they can have a personal brand. And I may be one of the first people that have said this, I'm not sure, but our social media these days has made it to where everyone thinks that they can be famous. Everyone thinks that they have something to offer, and a lot of people don't. They just don't, and not because they don't have that intrinsically in them to offer, but they haven't done the work. They don't have the expertise. They have not put in the time to really fine tune their delivery of what they do want to offer to the world. They haven't figured out that expression yet. They haven't, they're stepping out talking about, I can help you fix your credit. Well, have you fixed your own credit?
Right.
What have you done? And have you put that, that time behind what you're trying to sell? And so a lot of people are pushing services and products and things that are not really palatable and that are not life-changing to the people they're trying to sell it to. And I think social media has amplified that, where everyone wants to be famous, everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be the face and the brand. But 90% of the people who are doing that have not put any time, energy, experience, expertise behind anything that they're selling. So that's in that way, I think it's cheapened the personal branding sphere.
That's real.
Yeah. And the, public relations is something that I'm seeing a lot of organizations and, more established companies and, conversely, individuals who got to clean up stuff because something has happened bad in their past. They need someone to come in and clean up their public reputation. Those are the people, that are taking advantage of, working with a public relations firm or working with a communication strategy firm, but it should be, the solopreneurs and individuals who are thinking about starting businesses. Even if they're going to consult with a public relations firm to talk about how do they relate to the media, how should they pitch to the media, how do you get earned media, how do you find yourself on air, how do you present yourself to the world properly? And I think a public relations company can do a very good job at helping organizations fine tune their delivery more than even than even a marketing firm, just a general marketing firm, because public relations is about outward representation. So, we can teach a lot of people on how to fine tune that before they go spend time, money, and even money, coins in social media, the social media platforms, to be in front of everyone if they don't have the right delivery,
That's a good point. I like what you said earlier about having a clear vision. Because I have my 7 steps to creating an influential personal brand. And my first thing is your core message. It's like, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to say? Because based on what you say, that's how you're going to be known, right? And if you're saying you're a real estate agent, I guess this can go back to the elevator pitch, but especially if you're trying to become an expert. But if you're saying, I'm a real estate agent, and then, I circle back, I come to you again, and next thing I know, you are designing t-shirts. I'm kind of like, okay, which one is it? What do you do? Like, what do I buy? What do I buy from you?
And I had a struggle with this myself over the years. So I definitely know, about that. And that being one of your first steps, the core message, that is so important. And I actually, I started when I was an adjunct professor at the University of Denver. I had a mental health and wellness curriculum that I brought there. And I also had like this organization called Fitness, PHITNUS, that was like African dance, yoga, mental health. It was a whole program that I created, and I came out with a DVD and all of that. I was known. I won some awards for that. And I was known for that. And a lot of people knew as well that I had, the Phoenix Effect, and I had my whole business behind me that worked for companies and all of that. But in some circles, I was known for, being a professor in this health and wellness piece. And in other circles, I was known to be this business professional. And I had to reconcile that at a certain point. I was like, okay, I have to let something go. And not that I believe that you can't do multiple things, because I think Jay-Z said it best when he said, we're not diseased with the thoughts that we can't do many things at once. We can definitely do multiple things at once. But when they are at such at odds and there's not an emergence of the brand, that can be confusing to the public. And so it was hard for me to reconcile both brands. And so I sat the health and wellness and fitness brand to the side, totally sat it to the side, and just, said I'm focusing on Phoenix Effect. And Phoenix Effect, because of it being a business umbrella, I was able to fit under there Phoenix Effect University, because we train corporations, we train associations. We're stepping into online and training individuals on a small level, not like a huge university, like on a micro level on, do-it-yourself public relations and social media and digital marketing, and how to become, get into certain realms like real estate, being a real estate presenter, which is a whole, industry that many people of color are definitely just not aware of. And, really teaching, but I also was able under the umbrella to fit like the Phoenix Effect News. So we're featuring all of our clients on our souped up website that's launching in under 30 days. That's showcasing businesses, our celebrity clients, our, the athletes, the organizations, like showcasing their events, what they're doing, and just all of that. It's going to be a PR. It's going to be a funnel of PR information for the public about our clients and individuals that we work with, that we love what they're doing both locally and nationally. So it's, I was able to, those are ways to reconcile the brand. It's like, okay, I have news, I have a teaching academy. It's all underneath our company, but it doesn't conflict with the brand like the other one did. So I actually struggled with that core messaging for quite some time. And it was hard for me to release, that first business because of it. And I wish I would have had your book, a long time ago. Because I would have taken, it took me a couple of years to just say, okay, this is what I have to do, And it took my business partner to say, okay, this is how we're going to structure it. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to let go of. This is what we're not going to do. And, we have to do what makes sense for the people who are buying our services or who are following us in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it took some time to get there. It really did.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, because I do know I talk to a lot of people that struggle with that, right? Especially if they are transitioning. I like to say transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship or anything between that. And it can be difficult. So I hope that they can heed your advice and take that into consideration when it comes to their decision-making process. Now, you have some great accolades and honors that I'm like, okay, how can I get like Phoenix Jackson? Because, I want to be recognized too. But
look, and I'm like, I want to be like Michelle, all the Michelle's, Michelle Obama.
Hey.
I just want to be like all the Michelles.
Right. No, but the 25 top leaders in Denver for Barack Obama's My Brother's Keepers initiative. I have a colleague that has worked with My Brother's Keepers, so we all love Barack, or let me say, we all love the Obamas.
Yes.
Love them. Women Making History Award. So I guess I don't know which one's first, but I guess just getting that honor from My Brother's Keeper, and what were you doing when you heard the news, how that come into play, all that good stuff.
So I one of my clients, and they're called the Gurian Institute, they're a former client. They had a national traveling initiative called Helping Boys Thrive, and I took it to 3 separate states, but twice to Colorado. And we educated superintendents, professors, parents and teachers, largely at gender segregated schools or in schools that were struggling on how to deal with boys and how to deal with boys of color. And because my company does the PR, the marketing, all that, we rebranded them, set up, the shifts in trying to, collaborate their brand and their training academies so that people could understand what they were trying to push and what their agenda and their intention were. Because they trained over 60,000 professionals worldwide on really the impact of the boy's brain. And the author, Michael Gurian, who was the client, he is a New York Times bestselling author all about boys, all about the brains of boys, the mind of boys, why they can't sit still, why they are a hot mess. And I have a son who's 11 now, and I needed to learn. I was also a person who was helping present all this information, but I was also a student to it as well. And so we taught, I would say within a 2-year period directly in Colorado. I don't even have the figures for nationally, but just directly in Colorado, over 600 educational professionals on how to deal with boys, how to deal with men, how to deal with, the brain difference between girls and boys and why boys are failing in both private and public schools. And so that work, and plus my work with schools and organizations who deal directly with young men of color, that's why I guess was nominated and won the award. And so when I was, I'm cool as a cucumber about stuff. It's like, oh, cool, award, yay. And it's not enough for me. It's like, okay, I still have more stuff to do. And I don't see an end. There's no point where I feel like I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to stop, or, oh, I'm satisfied with this award or this accolade or what I'm doing, and so I can get a rest now. No, it was like, hey, I took the picture with the mayor, took the award. Okay, cool. On to the next thing that I'm doing, because the work never stops. And so I never get overly excited about anything, really. It's like, I'll be excited for maybe a day. Then I'm like, all right, okay, so what we got to do? What's on the agenda for next week? And that's just kind of how I think. But yeah, it was exciting because I actually have met Obama before when he was running in 2008 on the campaign trail. And, he's just a phenomenal energy and a phenomenal spirit. And I was so, felt so blessed for that to be circled around years later and for me to be receiving an award post his presidency, from an organization that he created that was making waves nationally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but I don't want to take light of it. Your book is actually called The Spirit of Business. So I just want to fill that in as I mentioned earlier. So can you just walk us through what your book discusses and regarding your experience as a business owner and what people can look forward to?
Yes. So, by the way, the book is on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com in pre-sale until July, but you can purchase the book if you want it like tomorrow. You can purchase the book from PhoenixJackson.com. But yeah, so the Spirit of Business came about because my son, when he was 9, so 2 years ago, he told me what my purpose was.
Oh.
And it's so important that we listen to the children from the mouths of babes. It is so important that we listen to our children because they are so wise. And he's definitely much wiser than I was at his age. And cuter at that, if I may throw that in. But I remember when he was 9 and I asked him, I was dealing with, revamping some things in our business and a lot of other things, just revamping a lot of stuff. And I said to him, what do you think that my purpose is? And he walked away, came back a few minutes later, and he said, Nana, that's what he calls me, Nana. Nana, your purpose is to mold people to be powerful. You're always speaking and you're always, on the phone talking to people and you're always helping businesses and you're always helping people and they walk away feeling better and being better than when they came. You help them become powerful. And I was like, oh, yes. So I was already generally writing in the book then, but he pushed me to that moment pushed me to finish the book, pushed me to make it a succinct, piece of literature for individuals to really gain something empowering from, because he was definitely right. He was correct in how he saw me. And because our children don't have a lot of the filters that we have, and because for him directly, he hasn't had the chaotic childhood that I, grew up in, his filters are more pure. He's not looking at things from a damaged viewpoint. So he can see things as they are. And from his point of view, his mother was someone who was helping people be powerful. So that pushed me to finish the book and to write it. So the book it features that story in there, but the book has miniature stories, but mainly it's a full workbook in itself. It's 100 pages long. It has questions that forces you to dig into who you are, where you are, and where you want to be. So a lot of individuals don't realize why they have a great idea, great structure around their business, but they're still not making money or they're still not fully content with where they are. And a lot of it has to do with the self-talk, whether or not they have a vision for themselves. It has to do with their childhood and what seeds are really deeply planted into who they think they're supposed to become. Yeah. And so the book forces people through certain exercises, including meditation, including there's some like guided journaling in there too, but it forces people to dig a little bit deeper regarding all of those things. What has happened to you? What excuses do you carry? What pains are you still carrying? Because all those things play a role in people's failures to be the entrepreneur or solopreneur or business professional that they want to be. And some folks think, oh, it's just my luck. Oh man, I didn't get that promotion. Or oh man, I didn't get this, or this hasn't happened to me. Or why am I still struggling? We create our own environments. We create our world. And a lot of us are not aware of how true that is. It is so real that we create our world. And so the book it presses that fact and then forces you to start to change some of that self-thought so your world can change around you. And I didn't just write a book, just because like I've been working for myself for 12 years. I've been using this in practice. And when things are not right in my world, I know it's because I'm not right. I don't blame it on anything external. I don't blame it on luck or nothing. Something in my mind is not aligned, which is why I have manifested this conflict over here, or this issue over here, or this financial hole over here, or it's something that I directly did, and I take full responsibility and ownership of it to radically change it. And the book really dives lightly into that. Like I said, it's 100 pages, so it's an easy read, but the time of it is about you digging in and taking notes and figuring out who you are and how you want to express yourself to the world.
Wow.
Because businesses are nothing but expression. They're expressions of us. You know, like how you're expressing yourself is, Michelle, you're introducing your audience in the world to people that you connect with, who you are inspired by. You are a conduit. It's kind of like Oprah. Oprah's a conduit for change and spiritual change on this planet. You know, she had a TV show, and now she has her network, and she has her magazine, and all that. All those are conduits and ways for other people to express themselves through her platform. She is a gatekeeper, and that's her expression to the world. You know, and my expression happens to be helping and teaching people and elevating them to another level within themselves so that they can be empowered, so they can feel like they can do anything, because you can, and for them to see life as a freedom gaining entity versus a restricting existence that most people live in. And so this first book kind of touches on that, and my second book is really going to dive into those concepts. But yeah, it's all wrapped around business, because everything in our world is about enterprise. It's all about enterprise, expression, less about making money, more about expression and people being on the forefront to provide services and support and products that people could use, and that should make their lives easier, more succinct.
I love how you say business is your expression. Like, I'm going to have to sit in that for a minute. Like, I know I'm going to replay this because it's a different perspective. Like, I've never heard of it. Of course, it's always, you know, what's the exchange of value? And of course, money / currency is energy, exchange of value. But you're hitting on a lot of important stuff, because mindset is very important. And I read affirmations every morning, like right after my devotion, as a believer, my devotion, and then I read some affirmations and I start my day. That mindset, it's something else. It's something else.
It is. No, you're correct. And so, you know, wrapped around the spirit of business, my partner and I, we've decided to, you know, with the Phoenix Effect, we decided to create, you know, a monthly sort of plan and subscription that we can send individuals out. You know, one thing is like an empowered morning routine. Here's a step-by-step guide of how to get your morning right, your ritual right. Like what you just said is like your morning ritual. You know, you wake up, you do your devotionals, you do this, you do that, and it sort of sets the tone for your day.
Right.
And if you start your day in a high vibrational, sort of intentional way, that flows on. It has such an impact for the things that you attract throughout the day, the experiences that you attract throughout the day. And so we're making it, you know, our duty moving forward, starting very soon, where people can actually just sign up to receive this information, receive, you know, booklets and receive candles and oils and other things that focus them in their entrepreneurship journey, things that will sort of, you know, keep them feeling good so that they can do more good, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot that we're building around the Spirit of Business book and just around the Phoenix Effect brand, but it's so needed right now. People are dying on the inside trying to look good on the outside. And not really understanding that. and they're not understanding that, you know, your outer man's gonna die too if your inner man dies. So what you gonna do? You know, how you can take care of yourself as you are an entrepreneur or as you are moving in life as a business professional. You know, what are your first steps to self-care? What are your first steps to, you know, creating the enterprise of your dreams? And the first steps, which are featured in the book, is quieting yourself, listening to yourself. We listen to so many things on the outside of us. We're distracted by everything, and we're not paying attention to the single most important person that we have to deal with until death, which is ourselves. So, as you can tell, I'm passionate about that.
I'm
about it. And I hope I'm not everywhere. I hope I'm not everywhere with the conversation, but I'm very passionate about it.
No, I'm right there with you. And I think that's why the morning is so important, right? And hopefully, if you get a good night's rest and you spend just 5 minutes in the morning meditating, praying, reading affirmations, because after that, like once you jump on the computer, step out the door, I don't know about in Denver, but the Houston traffic is crazy. Like it's nothing but,
Yeah.
and I feel like that first thing in the morning is probably going to be your quietest moment to set the tone for the rest of your day.
Yeah. And and you're right. And, a lot of people are, in that traffic stress. They did not have time to process the day before. They don't even remember what they ate. But then last night, I hope my baby got on the, matching shoes going out for school. Everyone's so on the go and we're all are going nowhere fast and not realizing that we have to slow it down and figure out where we're trying to get to, like what's the end result, And yes, Denver has, I think they say we have about 1,000 people moving here a day or something ridiculous. And I think that's an exaggerated number. I think it's probably somewhere around maybe 10,000 people a month are moving here because we have great jobs, great industry, but it has made it to where it's a lot of traffic gangbanging going on. It's like, wait, so, people are just honking horns and all that. And you got the natives yelling at the folks with the Oklahoma plates and the Texas plates and the California plates. It's people from Canada who are moving here with Canadian plates. It's like, what are y'all doing? Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, traffic is very bad here. It's getting worse, unfortunately.
So what's next?
Take the side streets.
So what's next? Of course, you said the book is officially going to be released in July, but we're pretty much close to the halfway point of the year. So what's next in 2018?
So I start my book tour and moving around to different cities and events and things here at the end of this month. So I'll be in Miami at the I Am Queen Brunch and Awards, and I'll be featured on the cover of their magazine for the month of June. And so the next couple of months is definitely just going to be speaking, traveling. I have 5 speaking engagements and events and hosting events coming up in between May and June, 5 or 7. I don't have the exact number in front of me. And then after that, it's really going to be pushing the book, making sure that people know that the spirit of business is out there. Right now, again, it is on pre-sale with Amazon and Barnes & Noble. To go purchase, or you can get it directly from the website at phoenixjackson.com. But the next thing is I have a lot of clients that I'm working with. We're expanding the Phoenix Effect business to Dallas, Texas, which I'm extremely excited about. So the second half of the year is going to be about expanding the business out there, making sure my team out there is set up, getting everything together, and focusing on my clients and making sure that their businesses are taken care of. I take pride in my work. I take pride in my team's work, and it's providing high level design, high level, and not crazy expensive, but high level work for my clientele. And so I think my second half of the year is going to be focused around, expanding the business, expanding the service offerings with, the university, expanding, the monthly subscription box that we're coming out with in July for entrepreneurs to get that self-care that they deserve. So it's really going to be about just business expansion, working on the brand internally. A lot of people as an entrepreneur, we tend to work in our company. We don't work on our company. And so the second half of the year is going to be me working on the company, making sure that the things that we're offering are top notch, making sure that we are providing our clients with what they need to succeed. So that's what's going to be next. And it sounds like a lot. It's not. It's coming together. Trust me. It's already working it out, putting this together. It's flowing. So I'm excited.
Okay. So just a few more things. One, where can people find you online, social media, your favorite platform, all that good stuff?
So I am on Facebook and Instagram under Phoenix K. K as in Kelly, my middle name. So Phoenix K Jackson. You can find me on those platforms with that, or Twitter too, Phoenix K Jackson. And if you want to follow our company and the work we're doing, we have about 2,000 plus followers on the Facebook and We're expanding the work on the Instagram and the Twitter, but that's under Phoenix Effect. So PhoenixAffect, effect as an impact. So Phoenix K. Jackson and Phoenix Effect. And then to find us online, it's just phoenixjackson.com or phoenixeffect.com. I would be willing to also, if someone wants to get a hold of the book and they let me know in their purchase that they, heard me on your show, I'll send them, some extra goodies with their book. And I'll send them a signed copy as well. So they, I know that they heard me on Networking with Michelle.
Absolutely. And we'll have all of those links in the show notes. I actually want to give you two more questions.
Yes.
The first one is, give us an action item. What's one action item that our listeners can take and implement in their business today?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, for them personally, they need to buy the book Spirit of Business. But I'll just throw that out there.
All right.
So, but for them and their personal brand or for their business, I would say sit down, scour the web, look around for companies or individuals that you admire. Look at their bio, their web presence. Look at how they're doing it and pay close attention to their story and how they began and how they became who they're becoming. And really study and sort of create a digital mentor. Find a digital mentor that you probably don't have access to as a direct mentor, but you can follow them and see how they're doing it and use that as a roadmap. If of course, and this is the caveat of it, where they are and what they're doing, you have to admire, you have to be inspired by it. And they have to be someone that if you could snap your finger and do what they do, that's what you would want to do. Take that time to study that person and be enthused about what they're doing and, see if it's something you truly want to be involved in, if you really want to put the work in to become where you see they are at. And if you reconcile within yourself that, yes, I do want to be like such and such, then start being like such and such. Work on a strategic plan. I guess the step 2 would be working on a strategic plan, a month-to-month plan on how can you start a business or an organization like what they're doing. Do the legwork behind it. Do the research. Go file that LLC with your Secretary of State with the name that you would prefer. Buy that domain name and start building up that personal brand and that public brand to become what you admire.
I love that. I know I do this personally on an annual basis, but you said other things that I'm like, okay, Michelle, you need to go a little bit deeper the next time you do this. When I am going over a Gary Vaynerchuk's website, and his bio, things of that nature. So me personally, I appreciate that, just being selfish on my show.
No, well, I appreciate that because, I do that. I've looked around at people over the years and said, okay, I don't see anyone who's doing exactly what I'm doing and who has the message like the Spirit of Business and me merging spirituality with entrepreneurship. I don't really see that out anywhere, but that's my personal message. That's my, that came from my soul. That's my personal message to the world. But it's also the path that I've been living. But what I have gained has been, I like how they worded those things, or I like how they have merged, this with that type of messaging. And I've been, looking around to see how I've liked, other just beautifully prominent and flourishing women, particularly women of color, that I was like, I like that. And of course, I've been watching Oprah my whole life, and I've been watching Pema Chodron, who's a Buddhist nun who's, has written books that have helped people of all races and all religious sects, learn about themselves and learn about their past. And so those women I follow so closely because of their impact on the world,
Let me ask you something, because you're a communications expert. Has there been a time, and I know you have a business partner, but has there been a time that you've been too close to your business? Because you keep mentioning messaging a lot. So I know you would have a way of words and structuring your bio and your web content, but did you ever feel like, okay, this is my baby, I'm too close to it, I need to hire someone else to do the same thing I'm doing?
You better know how to answer your question. Excuse me, you better know how to ask your question. Excuse me. So I ran the business as a solopreneur and was having an assistant, a full-time assistant here and there through the years, depending on how busy things were, for 10 years. Mm-hmm. My partner, her name is Jennifer McIntosh. She's on the website. Beautiful partner. She is the one who stepped in and said, okay, let's do this like this. And because I was too close to the business, I couldn't see that everything that I put out there was not the exact, it didn't match and merge with my personal brand. Her thing was, and I can say this now because we're past this rebranding period, but the name of the company was Nation Marketing Group for years, Nation Marketing Group. And it was like simple, I market companies across the nation, yay. She's the one who stepped in after 10 years and said, people don't care about Nation Marketing Group. People don't sign that contract because of Nation Marketing Group. Everyone who's worked with you both nationally and internationally, they know Phoenix Jackson. So we need to change the brand of this company to match who you are. My thing was, well, that's true, but isn't that narcissistic? And she said, no, we need to merge Phoenix Jackson, the person who's bigger than the business, with the business name and make sure that we create a business that then becomes bigger than Phoenix Jackson.
Wow.
And so that's where Phoenix Effect came into play, because we mold around the names, mold around it. And the colors and the name of the business changed, but the style of how I do business and what I do remained the same.
Right.
And so, yes, she came in and she consulted and moved things around and rearranged furniture and repainted some walls and snatched up some old carpet. And when it was all said and done, it was like, yes, we are here and this looks great. And we're still, doing the same thing and providing the same level of quality and service. So to answer your question, yes, I wouldn't have been able to do it without her as a partner had she not stepped in. And she's an Aries, they're fiery. Has she not stepped in and said, this is what we have to do, to like shift some things around. And I'm forever just grateful for her because of that. And she plays that role in the company because this has been my baby for so long. Right. She plays the role of, Phoenix, you're doing too much, or we can do more in this realm, and that doesn't quite go with the whole Phoenix Effect brand, or let's do that, but let's refine this in this way. She plays that role because in my eyes, nothing's never going to be perfect. I look at our website and I'm like, I can always add this, and I can always add that. I had our creative director here last night working until 9 o'clock at night. I was like, hey, we're going to create this portfolio and I need you to do this way while we reinstate the portfolio into the website. And we need to, nothing's ever going to be right to me because I'm always going to be looking at it from that point of view as the original creator.
Right.
So she, though, can look at something and say, okay, done. Now it's time to move on to the next thing. Almost in the sense that I'm the visionary and she's the manager, and she knows how to manage me to keep me in between the lines, because I'm trying to color all outside the lines and everything. I'm making polka dots, I'm putting in stripes, and she's like, girl, you ain't got to do all that,
Yeah, focus.
Yes, so exactly. So and I think that, a lot of people need that. We need, I did need someone to do for me what I've done for companies for all these years and helping them fine tune the mission and the brand. So yeah.
All right.
It's hard to just be the original creator. It's hard because you want to do it all.
Yeah. All right. This is for real. The final question, at least for the listeners. How do you define success?
Oh, wow. I would say success is in the eye of the beholder, sort of like they say beauty is, because I still don't feel that I'm quite successful yet. And from the outside looking in, folks are like, oh no, yes you are. But I have my own pillar of where I feel like I will then say I'm successful. But I feel like success is when you feel free, when you feel content, and when you're happy about what you're doing and what you're providing. That's success. So success to me is freedom. And most of us are not living a free existence. And I feel like the more of us that step out and live a free existence, meaning expressing ourselves publicly the way that we want, starting the type of businesses and providing the type of services and products that we want, to me, that's success. Even if your goal is to become a VP of a top Fortune 500 company, and if that's your goal and you accomplish it, then you are deemed successful. So I think it has more to do with what your individual goals and dreams are for yourself. And when you reach those, you should consider yourself a success. I have not reached where I want to be yet, so I don't quite yet consider myself to be a success. I've been successful along the path, but I don't consider myself a success yet. You know?
Our next interview is going to be in person.
Yes. Yes, I can't wait to
Our next interview is going to be in person. Oh my God.
Yes, I can't wait to meet you.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, I spent hours. I was just listening to podcast after podcast after podcast, and I was like, ooh, taking notes. Like, ooh, yes, I love that. And I was just like, oh, I got to meet Michelle. I got to meet her. I love what you're doing.
Love it. Thank you. I'm just so grateful. I'm very big on honoring people's time, so please forgive me. I've exceeded it.
No, it is okay. But it is okay. This is my, you know, like, this is my time too. This is great. I'd rather do this than anything else, to be honest. So we are good.
I love it. We're going to have everything about you in the show notes. That way people can follow you online. They can purchase your book. And I definitely want to work something out with you. That way I can get a book to the listeners. So I'm going to try to figure out some type of contest. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple.
Yay.
I'll mention it. And hey, everyone, remember, I believe in you. And a personal connection leads to an influential network. So thanks for networking with Michelle.